It is the Savage Nation. It's a very blue Monday indeed. We have had the chickens come home to roost as a result of the race war that has been stirred up by Barack Obama, Eric Holder, with the street thug Al Sharpton in the lead, the mayor of New York, de Blasio, Jesse Jackson. They have piled on. They've been stirring up the rioters. They've been basically winking and nodding. They said go and do it, and it happened. Now, of course, they didn't want the cops killed. They just wanted more power flowing to the top. When there's a race war, what you do is you take out the police who protect those you're attacking. And what you do is you take out the defense cells. And there's no better way to take out the defense cells of America, the thin blue line, than to attack them with lies. Now, there's another element to this that no one in the media has touched on. And I'm shocked that I didn't hear it anywhere in the media today, or frankly, it's Monday, I didn't hear it anywhere yet. The man who murdered 2 police officers in Brooklyn is a Muslim jihadist, according to Walid Shubat, who speaks Arabic, who has been in the show many times. I saw a link to this over the weekend, only a brief one, where the murderer, Brinsley, posted a Quranic verse, 860, from the Quran. The sacred Quran has a Quranic verse that he quoted on his Facebook page that says, "Strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of Allah." Now remember, the Global Muslim Brotherhood uses a segment of the same Quranic verse in its logo. Did you know that? Did you know that the Muslim Brotherhood movement seeks the installation of Islamic caliphate that follows Sharia laws? Did you know that? Now, they know it very well in Egypt because they speak Arabic, and they've dealt with the Muslim Brotherhood by arresting them. In this country, the Muslim Brotherhood is invited into the White House. So if you think that the killings of the police happened in a vacuum, you're crazy. This was the result of years of stirring up class warfare and race warfare. I found this race war predicted in a little-known book, a book not heard from. I found the prediction of a race war in a little-known book. I was researching this horrible execution over the weekend. And here is what this little-known book stated. It stated this. It asked the question, will the Obama inner circle of extremist left-wing radicals trigger an event that will provoke an American insurrection, even a civil war? And then the author said, let me explain to you what is happening. The desperate Democrats are all pursuing policies of race and class warfare. As their failures and many deceits become clearer to the people, as the war they're fighting against the freedoms promised in the U.S. Constitution materializes, they are counting on minority voters to turn out for them at the ballot box. And then this little-known book had excerpts from some of their speeches to high school and college graduates. And the book quoted Michelle Obama. The book quoted Eric Holder, one of the worst of the race haters the country's ever seen. And Holder is one of the smoothest of the race haters I've ever seen. He says it without saying it. He gives the signals without signaling. He winks without moving an eye. But there were others who fanned the flames of race warfare, including Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi called the children, the druggers, the drug addicts at UC Berkeley to arms, and she called them disruptors. And she celebrated their being disruptors. Here is one of the richest, most powerful women in the world stirring up the masses to attack and to incite violence, in my opinion. That's all on pages 2 to 5 of this little-known book. But this little-known book that would not be touched by the girls at Fox News has something even worse in the predictions. And that's this. The book talks about what the military is going through. You know what's going on in the police departments, where they're trying to push out white males from power positions and push in unqualified minorities as fast as they can. It's worse in the military. Page 44 of this little-known book. This administration's military policies include expanding the cultural Marxism that characterizes all its policies to include Christians in the military. Listen to one of the president's pet projects, which is the DOD's Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute. Now remember, the DEOMI, the Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute, was formed way back in 1971 to help address racial inequality in the military. And from that admirable start, it has been changed into a leftist propaganda factory, promoting radical feminist issues and spreading anti-Christian directives while shredding the iconic image of our armed forces. Here is what Obama has done in the DEOMI. Here is the manual. I will quote it exactly so you'll know what's going to happen next in the military. Here is their quote. Simply put, a healthy white heterosexual Christian male receives many unearned advantages of social privilege, whereas a black homosexual atheist female in poor health receives many unearned disadvantages of social privilege. The manual in the military goes on and says, in spite of slave insurrections, civil war, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, the women's suffrage movement leading to the 19th Amendment, the civil rights movement, urban rebellions, and the contemporary feminist movement, the white males club persists. I want you to think about those statements. Think about the garbage that is fed to impressionable young men and women by this administration, and then recall the square-jawed soldiers that for decades on recruitment posters successfully encouraged men and some women to join the armed services. What do you think the recruitment posters of the near future will look like? The attack on our nation is going on around the clock, and the snake is Obama. The head snake is Obama, the man on vacation in Hawaii. Now, we have sound bites where I'm going to present them to you. I did my homework. I asked the guys who work for the Savage Nation to go back and get all the sound of the last few weeks so de Blasio the sneak cannot hide, so Sharpton the snake cannot hide behind his new entourage of haters and make believe he's Mr. Peace. He is the most incendiary piece of garbage the American people have ever had to put up with, that phony garbage. How did he get where he is? How does a rat from the gutters who has done so much damage to this nation rise to such prominence at a time like this? How does a rat like that go in and out of the White House without anyone in the media saying a word? How? You figure out how. Sharpton is America. Sharpton is the Obama voice. You say, whoa, Sharpton? He's not Sharpton. He's Obama. He's Holder. He's the street thug. He says what Obama and Holder want him to say. That's what they were having him in the White House for. Did he want police killed? Oh, no, he didn't. He's a man of peace. He's a civil rights leader. He's gotten where he is because he's such a fine reverend. No one knows where he got his reverend's degree. I bet people on the show many times I pay $100 to anyone who can produce the divinity degree that this con man has earned. I've never gotten it. So let's go back in time and play some of the sound so they can't reinvent history. We have archived audio where you will see Obama, Sharpton, Holder, Jesse Hy Jackson, and de Blasio were stirring up racial hatred and trying to take out the white police force. What's ironic here is that the jihadist who executed those two cops executed an Asian and an Hispanic. Did you know that? Now, there are many other incidents not being reported all over the country. A cop in Florida was killed yesterday. Many, many incidents like this, all because of the racial hatred coming out of the White House and their street thugs, in my opinion. I could ask you a question, which I will do. Who do you most blame for the cop killings? There's a lot of blame to go around. Who do you most blame for the execution of these police? Well, let's start with the mayor of New York City, the second most important political position in the country. And let's start with clip 31, the one everyone remembers that de Blasio wishes to God would go away right now in the Savage Nation.
We've had to literally train him, as families have all over this city for decades, in how to take special care in any encounter he has with the police officers who are there to protect him. And that painful sense of contradiction that our young people see first, that our police are here to protect us, and we honor that. And at the same time, there's a history we have to overcome because for so many of our young people, there's a fear.
And then in 32, he goes on and attacks the police.
And for so many of our families, there's a fear. So I've had to worry over the years. Charlene's had to worry. Was Dante safe each night? There are so many families in this city who feel that each and every night. Is my child safe? And not just from some of the painful reality, crime and violence in some of our neighborhoods, but they're safe from the very people they want to have faith in as their protectors. That's the reality.
So this snake de Blasio, who everyone who can read, anyone with higher than an 80 IQ knows, is a stone-hearted Marxist, a supporter of the Sandinistas, has gotten just what he wanted, in my opinion. He stirred the pot. He said the police are racist. And then Holder moved in and said we're going to retrain the police across America because they're white racist pigs. Oh, he didn't say white racist pigs. He's too slick for that. But the wink and the nod said that. And so guess what just happened? There's a war on the police across America. There are 3 dead now that we know of in the last 3 days. And the police now are intimidated. They're being told, make sure the other guy shoots you first. The new rules of engagement for the cops are, it's better we have a dead cop than a dead terrorist. Same as in the military. The whole world is upside down because the world is being run by people with upside down brains. You're listening to the Savage Nation on a very, very troubled day. I've been agitated since Saturday when this news first came out. I was out of town and I couldn't wait to get on the air, and I had to think very carefully about who did this and was there a terrorist connection. Well, we found out that the cops were killed by a Muslim jihadist, Ismail Brinsley. The minute I saw his first name, I knew there was a connection to jihad. Ismail Brinsley. According to Walid Shubad, who reads Arabic, he has 2 Muslim names, Ismail and the middle name Abdullah, which means servant of Allah. He is a fan of Sheikh Yusuf Estes, who is not only neck-deep in the Muslim Dawah movement, the call to convert Westerners to Islam, but he meets with both ISIS and Hamas financiers. And the murderer, the cop killer, loved the Quran, specifically Surah 8 on his own Facebook page, which called for arming for preparation for jihad war. So you want to know a motive of why Brinsley shot the 2 NYPD officers? Do you want to know why? Brinsley is apparently a jihad sympathizer, at least he was, who used the racial turmoil stirred up by Obama and Holder and Sharpton as an excuse to kill Americans. Now, I want to play for you something that you should never forget, because the worst of them all is the president, of course. You well know that. None of this would be happening if the leader didn't want it to happen. That's why he has that slimy Sharpton in and out of the White House for these 6 years. They're working on the same page book. And so let's not forget what the fraudulent civil rights faker Sharpton actually said over the last few weeks. Let's hear clip number 7 from the suddenly peaceful little con man.
The fight ain't over. And you don't judge the fight on 1 round. Even if we get knocked down, we get up and go to the corner and come out fighting the next round. You won the first round, Mr. Prosecutor. But don't cut your gloves off, because the fight's not over. Justice will come.
Fight's not over. Fight's not over, you con man, you. You con man, you. How Phil Griffin should be ashamed of himself. Phil Griffin is slimier than Al Sharpton. Phil Griffin is the secret hand behind NBC. Phil Griffin is the slimeball who lets this racemonger have a show on the most despicable of television stations, MSNBC. So if you think this is happening in a vacuum, you are mistaken. It's a seamless connection between the most racially insensitive and incendiary administration since the Civil War and the media, the government media complex. And when I come back, we'll continue to talk about who is responsible for the assassination of the cops, not only in New York, but in Florida. There was another incident an hour ago here in San Francisco, in the San Francisco area, where I broadcast from, up in Humboldt County, where a California highway patrolman was attacked by a youth with a machete and had to shoot the youth dead. Where's Al Sharpton? Is he on an express train to Humboldt? I'll be right back.